So Lucy, thanks very much for agreeing to have a conversation with us today at this amazing venue, the Royal Albert Hall. We're obviously here to talk about you, your life, your family, what it's like to be a mother and have such a significant job. But before we do that, perhaps it would be helpful if you could just tell people what it is you do here at the Albert Hall.
Well, I am the Director of Events here at the Royal Albert Hall. I've been here nearly 16 years, so I've had a variety of jobs through that time, but mostly in programming and on the artistic side of things. So I have a wonderful programming team that I work with who help to deliver all the events throughout the hall. And then I also look after our education and outreach programme. So we engage with around about 150,000 people each year with that. And again, have a lovely, fantastic team who I work with on that. And as you said, it's an amazing place to work. I absolutely thoroughly enjoy it and I feel very lucky to work here.
So let's just travel back in time a little bit, Lucy. From our previous conversations, I'm aware that your life started on a farm in Hythe. So what was it like growing up in a farm?
Well, it was a world apart from this, where I am today, but it was absolutely wonderful. I am so lucky to have the upbringing I did. We lived on the outskirts of the New Forest. I'm the eldest of 6 children. We still have a little conservation woodland which we maintain between us. And I was kind of brought up in the countryside and really did muck in on the farm side of things. And I worked at the weekends on the farm. But alongside that, I was always doing my music and I started playing the flute at quite a young age. So all of that was going on as well as working and living on the farm.
You came to London, you studied at the Royal College of Music, and then you embarked on a professional career as a musician.
Yes, I didn't really want to go into the more really serious side of classical music because obviously the Royal College of Music was very much about classical music and I was brought up listening to jazz and more popular genres. So I started playing kind of Latino and jazz on the flute, but with the classical influence still in there. And so I formed a band and we went out and did lots of gigs, and at one point I supported Heather Small on tour and we did a nationwide tour and playing to audiences of 3,000 people or more each night, and that was an amazing experience. I will never forget it, and I was really glad that I was able to do that and given the opportunity to do that.
And so you went from doing these nationwide tours, supporting musicians, to becoming more full-time at the Albert Hall. How did that happen?
Well, I'd always been full-time at the Royal Albert Hall and I'd always done the music alongside that, and luckily a lot of the music was in the evenings or the weekends, and I just put every spare minute into the music, so I didn't have so much time for myself or leisure time. It just was work and the flute. And so I'd always been running and working the two alongside each other.
So a very busy life.
Yeah, it was very busy, very busy.
And was that good preparation then for becoming a working mum, being so busy?
I think so, but I don't think anything can prepare you for being a mum. It's another completely different world, isn't it? But and I left it reasonably late to have children, so I was nearly 36 when I had my first daughter. So I went off on maternity leave, and I remember in the first few weeks sitting there at 2 o'clock in the morning with a crying baby thinking, oh my goodness, everyone said this would be quite hard work, but actually this is really quite hard work in a wonderful way, completely different to anything else that I'd ever done, but obviously the most rewarding thing that I'd ever done as well.
At what point did you decide to come back to work, and how was that, with the kind of work that you do?
I always knew that I would come back to work because I always have loved working at the Royal Albert Hall, but it's not to say that it wasn't heart-wrenching to come back, especially with the first one. And I remember the night before crying, saying, I don't want to go back. But actually you get back and before you know it, you're in the swing of the things and you realise actually they are so different that it's great to have the two because they complement each other so well and you're using your brain in 2 completely different ways. I came back to begin with part-time, 4 days a week, but every other week I did 1 day from home. So I did manage to have quite a lot of time with the first one, so that was quite good.
And then at what point did you get offered the Director of Events role? Was that?
Well, I went off and had number 2, Ada, and then I came back, and shortly afterwards my boss at the time resigned. So I knew that there might be something for me up for grabs. So I didn't find out until a few months later, and then they offered me the role of Director of Events, which is the role I had been waiting for really to do for many years, because it meant that I would be completely in charge of the artistic side. I could really move things forward in the way that I wanted to and start create our own events. So it was very exciting. But what went with that was the fact that I had to go back to being full-time, and I knew that there would be a lot of hours. You know, being a director in one of the world's best venues is a lot of work, and you know it's going to take up a lot of time. So it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made to accept the job. And I had so many conversations with my friends that were working mums, with my partner Ben, with my parents, and it was really hard, and I nearly didn't do it. But everyone said, Lucy, you must give it a go, because give it a go. If it doesn't work out, then you can always say, look, this is too much. And so obviously I decided to say yes, and here I am 2 years later, still doing it. But in order for me to do this job, my partner Ben actually cut down his hours so that he could be there for the children, so that one of us would be there a bit more.
And so it sounds like you've got a very supportive family, a great network around you. I mean, the fact that people are encouraging you to make that choice sounds fantastic. And so 2 years on, has it been a good decision?
Most definitely. I think, do I see May and Ada as much as I should do? Probably not. But I know that they are inspired by me as a working mum. Although they're very little, they do talk about it a lot, and they get to come to the Royal Albert Hall. So I think they understand as much as they can do for their age, and I hope as they get older they think, well, look what mum's doing, isn't it exciting, and we're proud of her. So I have made the right decision, but it doesn't come without its sacrifices. My partner Ben has had to sacrifice his hours so that he can support me in doing this job, so that I can do it, and so that he can be there for the girls. We have a lot of help from his parents as well, help with childcare. So other people have really helped me so that I can do this job.
And as you said, it's this idea of being a role model for your children, that someone that they can look up to as a working mum who's been very successful. It sounds like that's quite important to you, Lucy.
I think it is. Girl power and all of that. And I think that women can be very successful and be a mum. Can you have it all? I don't think you can ever have it all. I think that you can have bits of everything, but you just have to make sure that those bits that you do, like so the time that you do spend with your children has to be very high quality, and you make the most of it, and you make sure that you do. And my job takes up a lot of my time, but what I will do is when on the days when I'm not working in the evening, I will try and leave as close to on time as I can. I'll get home, spend quality time with the girls, put them to bed, and then I will catch up on emails a bit later on once they've gone to sleep. So you're always sacrificing something, but that's fine, and I've made that decision, and I'm very happy for it, and for doing that, and it works very well for me.
What are your hopes for the future? Do you want to carry on doing this, or are you keen to get back to music one day?
I'm very keen to get back to music because I really miss it. It's kind of my soul, and so that is one big sacrifice I've made. But you could say just for a short time. It's hard when you've got little children and babies, and it's very difficult to do everything. But Ada has now just turned 3. She'll be starting school next September, so things will change. And whilst I wasn't able to do as much flute in those years, I'm started getting back into it just recently, actually. So I'm really pleased about that. Really excited to go out and do some gigs again.
Yeah. Well, when you do, we'd like to know, because we'll come and watch.
Oh, thank you very much.
Lucy, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much for sharing a bit about your life and your career and your success. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.